Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of EDTalks. And we want to highlight the great leadership that comes from everyone. In this case, in particular, a woman CEO. And I love the content that our guest puts out. And so I asked her, hey, would you be part of EDTalks? And she graciously agreed. And so I want to welcome Lygeia Ricciardi. I know I'm saying the name not quite exact, but you're going to tell us what is the origin of the name. So, what is your ethnic background and the meaning behind your name?
So, first of all, I am so excited to be here, Ed. Thank you so much. I'm a big fan of yours. So, to participate in this conversation is an honor. Lygeia is actually a Greek name. I am not Greek, but it means clear voiced. So,
Nice.
no, I do not really sing, but I like to think about that on a more abstract level and say, like, speak my truth kind of thing. So, I try to be clear voiced in that way. And Ricciardi is Italian. I actually am about half Italian. It means curly haired. Not that curly, but you know.
Yeah, clear voice and curly hair. No, it's a great name. We were talking offline just about names, and I love unique names. It's a very beautiful name, and so I appreciate that. So tell us, what was the moment that you realized it was going to be healthcare for you in your career?
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to switch that around and say my career has been about digital health and health information technology. And there was more of a moment when I realized it was going to be about technology. And then health kind of came a little later. So, my first job out of college was writing case studies for Harvard Business School, and I worked with a business historian. And we would like cover the whole of like business history and the major changes and things that were shaping it. And through that process, I got to work with the person who was going to become the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission. But it was just like seeing the impact of technology on society. I was like, I want to be part of that because it's shaping everything. And it has shaped so much of business history in the US and around the world, and so much of society. It's not just about business. So it was the tech piece that I got first. Not so much from the perspective necessarily of being deep in the weeds of like developing tech, although I've done some of that, but more around like, what is the impact on society? So from there, I jumped into tech and policy and did a fair amount actually with education as well as health, and just got super excited about the healthcare side. I actually ended up working because of that job with the chairman of the FCC, and
Yeah.
that's when I first got involved in health policy. But yeah, technology first, and how do you help and empower people through technology is the thing that is exciting to me.
Was there any sort of premonition or inkling in your youth, like as a preteen or a teenager? Like, I'm sure you didn't dream of getting into healthcare, tech, or things that you're doing today, or maybe you did. What was kind of your early thoughts around the career?
So early on, I was the class artist. I made stuff. I would draw things. Sometimes people would ask me to like design their notebooks, or one guy had me paint his car like in high school. I put a great big tiger on it, by the way. It was pretty fun. But anyway, it was more about making stuff and sometimes having a different perspective on making things. Like even in high school, I was kind of creating my own courses by the time I was a senior. This is more like this, like I'm going to take an untraditional path, probably, because I kind of can't help it. I don't know. I'm curious and creative, and I like making stuff. Technology affords a lot of that, but I would say the path that I've taken, to me, there's a very strong through line in technology, health, and empowering people. But the path that I forged was not a path that was just kind of out there that I could follow. I've often been at kind of the vanguard of especially the areas around sort of like health and technology, patient engagement. That wasn't really a thing.
Yeah.
So I get excited about these new areas and helping define what they are.
Yeah. Well, I think that whole creative bent that you were talking about really helps you in life and your career because you've got that flexibility and agility and sort of that mind, left brain, right brain thing going and helps you with success. So now tell us about today. So You're the CEO of a company works with workplace wellness for hybrid and remote teams. And so share a little bit about your company.
All right. So it's called AdaRose. It's named after one of my kids. And this idea, which has been, again, a strong theme in my career of empowering people toward health and wellness in digital technology. Why her name? Because as a baby, well, she was born with a hole in her heart. And I got the advice from doctors that she needed immediate open heart surgery. And because I had already spent many years in digital health, patient advocacy, I knew to ask a heck of a lot of questions and do a lot of research, and ended up taking another path, watchful waiting. She is now a very healthy 15-year-old, and we never had surgery. But this for me is one example of empowering people, individuals, with regard to their own health and well-being. And that's what AdaRose is about. At this stage in my career, I am more focused on well-being as opposed to deep in healthcare itself. And that's partly, I think, for a couple of reasons. One, although I've spent a lot of my career with patients and patient advocacy, I've been fairly lucky to mostly be somewhat healthy in that I don't see myself I see myself more as a consumer of healthcare than someone who's like a patient in there managing one or multiple conditions all the time. So all of us, however, all of our health is shaped no matter what our condition is or lack thereof or multiple conditions. And everybody is sick at some time and we all are going to die. I mean, fact. So it's all shaped by kind of the wellness activities, right? It's like, what do you do every day? Do you move your body? What do you eat? How do you manage stress? How do you interact with others? So I'm really working with the company AdaRose on helping people, particularly those who are in these remote and hybrid work situations, where often we're sitting on our own, physically separated from others. There's been a lot of discussion, and the Surgeon General Murphy drew a lot of attention to loneliness as one aspect of this, but like general kind of malaise, lack of well-being. We have an obesity epidemic. We are not super healthy as individuals. And if we can sort of go upstream and empower people and inspire people to use behaviors that engage them, that help them engage in well and healthy behaviors on a daily basis, you avoid a lot of the, worse problems that kind of come together. So in terms of what we do these events that use kind of theories of behavior chains to nudge and encourage and engage you as an employee from many different sides. What does that mean? That means, for one thing, digital tools online. So like a personalized journey that reflects your particular interests in health and wellness or your familiarity with particular elements of health and well-being. It also means, though, sending physical things by mail, because I believe, particularly if you're out in your own space by yourself, it makes a big difference to have like physical objects in your space. That's a way to engage you. So we send these little like boxes of things that come and that have, various applications in wellness. So as an example, here's one. This one's got like a resistance band, right? So this is something that you can put at your desk. It's there within reach. And then you also have, you have a ball in this case, although some things are more mental well-being oriented, like this is an aromatherapy roll-on. But you're not just kind of on your own, here's some stuff. You have a live webinar that you dial into where you have an expert or experts showing you stuff to do with these things. So you're combining this surround sound set of activities. You got the online stuff, you got the physical stuff, and then you have live engagement with a human showing you stuff. And all these pieces come together to help bring you on this journey of wellness in a way that is fun and engaging and gamified. Because the other important piece of this is like health and wellness are so social. And in my own life, I like to exercise and share healthy activities with other humans in my world. So to the extent that I can do that with the people I work with, I'm happier and healthier both.
No, I love it. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, because I do think this is so important. So I'm a big believer in remote work and all that kind of stuff. I was doing that many years prior to the pandemic. but at the same time, I understand the importance socially and how it affects us mentally and the different things you already spoke about. So this is a great bridge between, having that agility, flexibility of the remote work sort of teams, and at the same time taking care of one another. So I love it.
Cool. Well, I'd love to have you try it out.
I know, right? I saw that stuff and I was like, hey, I need some of that here in my office. So the other thing I want to talk about is really leadership. And in the particular week that we're recording, it's the anniversary of women's right to vote. And it's sad that that's like a thing because, it should never have been a thing. It should have always been that way. But it is what it is. And here you are, a woman CEO running a company. What advice would you have for other women? And this is the hard part for me too. I'll just be straight out transparent.
Yeah.
I just like advice for any leader. I don't like to bifurcate between male and female, but I do understand at the same time that there might be the need for that. That's why I asked the question. So any advice, and again, it'll probably work for men as well, but any advice to women who might look at you, and I know many do, and aspire to be like you, be a CEO running a company. What would be one or two pieces?
So I would say one thing that it's not unique to women, but I think women have a unique role to play in it. We really can support one another in unique ways. I feel like a lot of times, even in my own career, I've had really different types of relationships with women, bosses, peers, employees. Some of those have been immensely supportive. Others have just been kind of nice. To be perfectly honest, some have been kind of combative. There's been like issues around where it hasn't always been supportive. Let's just put it that way. And I think that as women, we need to and have the opportunity to kind of go the extra mile and support other women. And I think that often women tend to struggle with confidence. They tend to be people pleasers. They're afraid to ask for what they deserve. Men don't always see that or appreciate that. And so I think as a woman, whether you are in a leadership position or aspire to be in one, or even if you don't, like support the other women that you see, highlight what's good about them, not just tell them they're good though. Like when opportunities come up, maybe there's an opportunity in your workplace for an advancement or for, fill a new role or take on a new project or win an award, put forward that woman's name, suggest her, highlight her. Not only that, in meetings, if a woman says something cool, just make a point of highlighting it and saying like, as use her name, as Judy said, because often sometimes, like I feel that often, not always, but men are more comfortable sort of speaking over women and sometimes, not always, have been known to take credit for, ideas of people that are less likely to be, strident about putting themselves out there. So that's the sort of unique for women advice. Although I would say for people in general, in terms of like moving toward leadership, or I would say even more broadly success, because I don't think the only type of success is leadership.
Sure.
But try to tap into what you're passionate about and what you care about. Because if you really want to make a dent in your work and in your career, you're going to have to work really hard. And you want to have some like deeper fire flame that is like so compelling to you that you want to do it and that you will do it through all the hard stuff. If it's just kind of you're doing it because, I don't know, it makes you feel more secure, or you want a bigger salary or whatever, that's not the same kind of fuel as like that intrinsic, deeper, passion to make a difference in whatever it is. So find that thing. And sometimes it can be a little harder than you might imagine to actually understand what that is, because you may have been told by parents, by teachers, peers, others that like, you should be doing X. Don't you know you should be a lawyer or you should be a whatever? Not that there's anything wrong with being a lawyer, but is that the right track for you? Right. And are you passionate about that? Is that a good fit to your interests and skills and passions? If so, go with it. If not, try again.
I love it. This is why I wanted to have you as a guest. You just dropped just tons of nuggets of wisdom on us, both for men and women and leadership in general, and then learning about what your company and what what you do and how you help these remote teams and the hybrid teams. It's just super fascinating, as you are yourself as a person. So thank you again for being our guest and for sharing the way that you have.